How does the former CEO of Ben & Jerry's, one of the most outspoken, purpose-driven brands in the world, talk about sustainability, profit, culture, anti-wokeness, trust, and the future of business? Not the way you'd expect. Because according to Matthew McCarthy, the biggest threat to most organizations isn't their competitors, it's themselves. And in an era where woke capitalism, sustainability, corporate responsibility have all become political battlegrounds, that contradiction is becoming impossible to ignore. On It Shouldn't Be This Hard, we talk to business leaders, sustainability professionals, and social impact entrepreneurs working at the intersection of purpose and performance, hosting lively, playful, and often provocative discussions around why it's sometimes so hard to do the right thing and do the right things. In part one of this two-part conversation of It Shouldn't Be This Hard, former Ben & Jerry's CEO Matthew McCarthy joins us for a candid conversation about what happens when companies become the fox in their own henhouse.
Just talk to me about that notion of the fox in the henhouse. When that first come up, what do you mean by that?
One of the questions I get asked the most is, Matthew, how do you balance sales and profit, the financial stuff, and the purpose stuff? I have to tell people straight away that that whole framing of balance is fundamentally broken, if not part of the problem. This idea that balance is a zero-sum game. For one side of the balance to go up, the other side must go down. And I think that framing of which is really kind of a setup for failure in a lot of ways. And so the fox in the henhouse, one of the things I found repeatedly in my life and in my career is that sometimes the thing that we're trying to do so desperately, collectively, we really want to do, we also have some either belief in our head or we're part of an organization that is designed to actually put at risk that which we're trying to do together. I often have found that some of the worst enemies of the businesses and the brands I've worked on were us. We. Right? Not on our competitor. Competitors were tough competitors, and they certainly were our enemy in the marketplace. But man, oh man, sometimes what they did couldn't compare to the kind of shit we would do to ourselves to be in the kind of the sales prevention business.
If the fox in the henhouse is often our own thinking, nowhere does that become more obvious than when businesses start talking about growth. For decades, we've framed purpose and profit as opposing forces. One goes up, the other comes down. A constant balancing act between doing well and doing good. Matthew thinks that framing is fundamentally broken.
There is a tortured relationship, isn't there, between trying to scale a business, trying to build a brand, but trying to do that sustainably. And I would imagine that your time in Ben & Jerry's, particularly, you were right in the middle of that. These three concentric circles, trying to navigate the reality around how these three forces of scale, brand building and brand love and sustainability coexist. So can they, is the question, and how did you navigate that?
I mean, to the can they? I think that, of course, they can. I think the evidence is quite clear that there are plenty of businesses that have made unbelievable amounts of money doing things that actually the people that they serve care about. Taking responsibility for your negative externalities in a business, that's something that the data is quite clear most consumers want. They don't always know how to pay for it. They're not always sure how to understand how you're articulating it. That's not their fault. The fact that lots of products suck or lots of products do bad things to the environment is not the consumer's fault, even if they're the ones paying for it. So I think that the evidence is quite clear that lots of businesses continue to thrive, and in fact, younger generations, younger cohorts of consumers continue to care more about the impact that they're having in their community and their world. So the underlying driver of why these things matter is not going away. I mean, look no further than even the Maha movement. Right? Forget about the politics. Set aside, what's going on. That is just the latest expression of, I don't trust what's in my food. I don't trust what's in my cosmetics. I don't trust big companies. And I certainly don't trust the government to actually keep me safe. The need is not going away. It's getting stronger. Sales and in profits and that belief system within companies also sets up like a likelihood, a proclivity to us making spending a lot of time debating whether or not we should do something versus how do we do something, right? So debating whether it bottles up energy. Should we do this? Should we not do this? And a lot of energy in organizations gets really wasted, squandered with people debating versus deciding that, yeah, we're going to go do this. We're not sure how to do it, but we're going to go do this. And let's put most of our energy into the how. Specifically on this term scale, is that I'd sit in a room of people, let's say with my leadership team or whatnot, and say the word, hey, we need to scale this, whether it's an innovation or expanding distribution geographically. And what I realized that when I used the word scale, every single person in the room heard something completely different. So my finance person would be like, scale, great. That means margin's going to go up because we're going to get economies of scale. And then my manufacturing person would be like, scale, great. I got to hire more people or build more stuff, get more equipment. And then procurement people were like, boy, I need resilience in my supplier network. So everybody was hearing something completely different. So I started to say, wait a minute, what is it with this word scale? We use it liberally, but we use it so imprecisely that creates a conflicts of understanding about what we're talking about. And a lot of people get down on private equity, and maybe there's reasons for that, depending on who you are. But money itself, if you have an organization that's designed to simply increase profits, well, money doesn't really care about purpose. People care about purpose. Right. And it doesn't mean I'm not trying to vilify money, because money and profits are instruments created by people. I got a lot of people say to me, well, you guys had Jerry and Ben. And I said, listen, don't delegate to founders that sold the business 45 years ago. Please don't do that. Please don't delegate to, well, you had a Ben and a Jerry. We don't have a Jerry and a Ben in our business. Right. And I said, no, I'm sorry. I'm a little bit of tough love, but don't tell me that. You're selling stuff right now. Yeah. You're growing your business. Well, sometimes yes, sometimes no. Are you having an impact in the world? Yeah. Okay. So let's step into that space. Let's not delegate to it's not in our brand DNA or whatnot. Do we care about it? Do we care about it? Do we think it matters to our future viability of our company? Is it going to matter going forward? Could it create risks like our main ingredient? We don't know where that's going to come from in 10 years because of climate change. That's material. All right. And that's just not a reporting thing. That's, do we care and does it matter to us? This collapse of employee trust and employee engagement, you can have as much cold brew and kombucha on tap. If people are not feeling connected to what you're doing every day, you are taxing your own profits. You will fall short. So to your point, if that special, beautiful thing about, let's say, a business or organization, when it gets acquired or brought into another organization, it's not just to be syndicated. It's to be nurtured and to be grown from the core out, not oh yeah, we also do this. That's really expensive. To do it at scale, not sure how we would do that. But those are fundamentally wrong questions that are going to give you answers that could be value destructive to your organization.
Matthew McCarthy's argument is deceptively simple. The biggest obstacles to growth, trust, and impact are often the ones we create ourselves. But if that's true, then the next question becomes, how do leaders build organizations that don't get in their own way? In part 2, Matthew McCarthy shares what decades of leadership have taught him about trust, culture, anti-woke backlash, resilience, and some of the hardest decisions leaders face aren't a choice between doing right and wrong, but between two difficult paths. Follow It Shouldn't Be This Hard wherever you get your podcasts, and subscribe on YouTube at It Shouldn't Be This Hard so you don't miss the next chapter of this conversation. And if you're trying to bridge the gap between purpose and performance in your own business, visit us at grounded.world, because it shouldn't be this hard.